Y'all ever went to explore the spooky Appalachia just to run into something that's actually spookier than the Appalachia? Because this story takes place at an old abandoned high school that ended up burning down. Me, my sister, and a couple of our friends went to go explore this old abandoned high school that apparently had burnt down. I remember actually getting on the road that took us there, and it was like a long, kind of windy road out into the woods. And when we got there, it still had the walls up and it still had 2 floors, but everything else was like burnt and singed, right? Rumor has it that this place was actually set on fire because something in the boiler room caught on fire. It was pretty creepy to see that like actually half the building was missing because of how burnt down it was. Like there was no ceiling or a roof. But I do remember all of us getting like the heebie-jeebies because there were still some walls up, so it was easy to kind of cut corners and like get a little lost around there. But I do remember specifically my sister was like, come on guys, let's go up to the 2nd floor. Not being able to find the stairwell and everything just being twists and turns and stuff, we got a little lost. Now, just like every other spooky story you hear, you started to feel something kind of weird in the air, like the vibe was just off. Something wasn't right. We all looked at each other and we were like, man, I kind of wish I knew how to get up there. Well, as soon as we said that we literally turned the corner on the outside and we ended up running into this couple. This was a boy and a girl, and they were probably the same age as us, so we were all about 17 or 18 years old at the time. I remember being really uncomfortable around these kids because I thought that they were on drugs at the time, and I didn't get into that lifestyle yet. And I looked at my sister and I was like, dude, something's wrong with them. And she was like, yeah, no, they're definitely on drugs. But oddly enough, they looked at us and they were like, are you guys lost? Are you trying to get to the 2nd floor? And we were like, yeah. And they were like, okay, well, we can lead you there. Even though we were a little uncomfortable, we were like, okay, hell yeah, let's go. So we started to follow them around the school, right? And then as they turned the corner, me, my sister, and our friends, we were only about not even 10 feet behind them. And then when we cut the corner, they were straight gone. I remember stopping in my tracks and looking, and I was like, yo, where the hell did they go? Everybody just stopped. We all looked at each other like, dude, where did they go? And we're just kind of like stand around for a minute because we were all like, started calling out in the woods like, hey, where are you guys? Where are you? And I mean, these kids literally just disappeared. They were nowhere to be found. At that point, all of us got so spooked that we were like, okay, that was really cool and all, but we literally got so spooked that we went back to the car. Now, out in the Appalachia, obviously, you hear a lot about portals. You hear a lot about ghosts, skinwalkers, like whatever. We don't know what that was. I honestly don't know till this day. Portal or whatever, or if it was like 2 ghost kids that passed away from that fire. Y'all tell me what you think down in the comments, and if you have any creepy stories of yourself about the Appalachia or anywhere, put them down in the comments. I would love to read them.
We don't want them to know that we're still here, and I didn't know this wasn't a thing until I moved away. So this story comes in from a listener, and she says they lived in the Appalachian Mountains, way out into the woods, and every night at the same exact time, her grandma would go onto the front porch and then back in the house and turn the front porch light off. Not on, off. And when they asked her why, she would say, because if I leave it on, they'll know we're here. She said her and her cousins always thought that she was kind of joking around and it was just a grandma thing, but they were spending the night at their grandma's one night and she had fell asleep before turning the light off. So they got up to go turn the light off, and when they opened the door, what they saw, you won't believe. When they opened the door, there was something already standing out there in the edge of the woods, and it was tall. It was too tall to be a person, but it was kind of shaped like one. They go to turn the light off, and it moves forward before they can even do it. This figure moved just enough that the light could hit it, and you couldn't see its face, but they could feel that it was watching them. They slammed the door shut and they ran, and they left the light on, not even thinking. Next morning when they all got up, their grandma asked them, like, hey, why'd you leave the light on? And they told her what they saw, and she said, you mean you saw it too? And every night after that, it would move closer and closer, she said, and then eventually it was gone. No more figures standing out there. What do you guys think of this story? It's the Appalachian Mountains, so it could be anything. What do you think they saw? Be honest, would you have turned the light off after seeing that figure, or would you have left it on by accident like they did? And if you like spooky stories, make sure to follow along. If you have any spooky, creepy, scary, unexplainable stories, send it to my email, it's in the bio. And as always, stay strange, stay blessed. And until next time, share this out.
We have baby dolls growing hair, trees moving in people's yards, and now this man's haunted shed. And these videos are chilling. So his name is Ryan. He lives near the Appalachian Mountains, and whatever this is pissed off. That song you could hear, it's called I've Got a Feeling I'm Falling. It came out in 1929. Your energy in situations like this can make things a million times worse. So he pulls up to his house and he sees the lights on and it's not supposed to be on. So he goes inside and he's yelling, very frustrated out, what's going on here? Is there a human here? What is it?
Hey, who is in here, man? I'm over it! Oh my God.
Now, the majority of people seem to believe him, but there are some people who are doubting him. A medium is coming out, I believe, next week to see what's going on, and we'll have some answers. So there was a clip he showed where something grabbed his camera and ran, and people are trying to say, like, that's completely impossible. That wasn't a ghost. And he agrees with you guys. Apparently, there's some man with his dog who has been messing with him and coming over into their driveway and things, and he thinks that's completely separate from the haunting of the shed. I've also seen people saying that this is a badger, but I don't know many badgers who can turn the light on and do everything that was in that first video. I wish I was one of those people who just didn't believe in this kind of stuff because this is terrifying. And with social media, there's always a chance that it's fake. I mean, people will do quite literally anything for views. But this type of stuff happens. It does happen. You can't convince me otherwise. I'll update when we hear back from the medium, but I'm telling you, there are things out there that we just don't understand.
The following story you're about to hear is 100% true. On January 18th of 2025, my best friend Lily and I were having a sleepover. I had a school play that day and we had to be there at 4 p.m. to get everything ready for 6:30. I was going to be in the play, but she was only there to watch. It was a play based on the book Monkey's Paw, so it was kind of a Victorian-style play. My friend and I, at around 5 p.m., were going to get coffee creamer in the teacher's lounge fridge. I had to go to the bathroom, so I went to the teacher's one, and I tried to get out, but it was locked. I screamed for my friend to open that door. Later, after the play at around 8:10 p.m., Lily and I went into the big stall in the bathroom to get off my mini tricky petticoats, because I swear that thing had almost 1,000 buttons and zippers. Well, the entire stall shook. We looked under it because we thought that maybe another actor was messing with us. It was our third and final play that weekend, so everyone was really out of it, and honestly mad they weren't in their beds. There was absolutely nobody in that bathroom. We were a little weirded out, but dismissed the thought of anything being there. After this bathroom incident, Lily and I went into room 4 to grab our things. I was sitting on the floor, tying my Converse, and I realized I forgot my water bottle on the stage. I asked Lily to go grab it while I packed up because I didn't want it to get stolen. Everybody else was at the lobby doors, exhausted and leaving. She went to go grab the bottle, and a few seconds after she left, I heard literal scratching on the windows. I was so scared, I went frozen. I heard her steps in the hall and started anxiously saying her name. I told her what happened and she sat down next to me. The scratching happened again, so I went up to the window to see if anyone was messing with us. Go figure, not a soul in sight. I went back to sitting and then my friend went up to the window. Lily put her ear up to the window and scratched 3 times, and it scratched back at her 3 times. But I thought she just did it 6 when I heard it. Across the hall, there is lockers, and I heard 3 loud bangs, almost like knocking on them. We freaked out and grabbed our things and bolted. I just feel like this story needs to be put out there because nobody believed us when we told them. I love your videos so much, and I hope for the best for you and your family. God, that's creepy. Ugh. We believe you. We believe you here. Ugh.
Let's talk about the reborn baby doll who is growing hair. Here are my credentials. I am speechless. And the lady who owns it is now donating it to the Warren Museum. First and foremost, this is a modern reborn baby doll. This means you technically could detach the head from the body to see what is going on inside, but I probably wouldn't do that. The way these dolls are manufactured is that strands of hair are pulled into a knot, and they use something similar to a crochet hook to insert the hair into the little holes. The hairs are gathered into small bunches and then a knot is tied at the end. So technically what could be happening is that the knots are loosening, giving the illusion of growing hair. But she has also documented some other weird happenings surrounding this doll. I also had the thought if mould or stuffing was in the head which is pushing the hair strands out. But honestly, if this were me, I would not open the head and I would not mess with the vessel. It's not a good idea to open or damage the vessel if you do not have permission. And if something is attached to this doll, which it looks very likely, although I personally cannot tell if something is haunted through a screen, the last thing you want to do in this situation is anger whatever is attached to the doll. Some people also say the doll looks like it is breathing. To me, this looks like a mass-produced reborn baby doll and not a bespoke one. So, in my opinion, it is very unlikely to have a sort of expensive breathing mechanism. These are mechanisms inside of the doll that can mimic the look of breathing. Also, do not burn that doll. I see so many comments saying to burn that doll. Do not burn that doll. It will not get rid of whatever is going on. If you're interested, you should definitely go and watch all of her videos about this doll. It is so interesting and quite unsettling actually, even for someone who is an avid doll collector. I have had very strange experiences when it comes to dolls, but I have never had one that grows hair. Honestly, I would probably donate it to the Warren Museum if my doll was growing hair too. And I have had to remove dolls from my home in the past. So I totally empathise with what this lady is going through, and I really hope she can resolve it soon and that she and her daughter are safe.
This girl sent me an email saying that she saw something absolutely terrifying in her house, and then it started mimicking her mother. It scared her so badly that she literally passed out. Chantal moved into a new house, and she said that a year before she moved into the house that she had had paranormal things happen to her, but this was by far the worst thing that had ever happened to her. This was around November 20th of last year, and she was home alone because her mom and her boyfriend had gone to a bar in the city about an hour away. So it's around 10 or 11 p.m., and she got on a call with an online friend, and we're gonna call her Aisha for privacy reasons. They're just laughing, goofing off, having a good time, when suddenly Chantal starts to hear this and she's like, what? At first she thinks that it's her cat, and then she remembers something. Her cat ran away a week prior. So she perks up a little bit because she thinks that it's her missing cat, Pumpkin. And she tells Aisha to hold on for a second, and she goes over to the door. Despite the excitement of thinking that it was her cat, she started to get this really bad feeling right before she opened the door. Like her stomach dropped, but she just ignored this feeling. She opens the door, she doesn't see the cat. Her eyes kind of like drift around, and then they stop at the bottom of the yard. And then she saw it. It looked like a person with shoulder length, and she explained it as ratty black hair and white dirty rags hanging off of what looked like an extremely thin and tall body. That's when she felt it again. She said that it just felt like this extreme horror that just flooded her senses. She finally manages to kind of like stumble back, and she slams the door shut and she locks it really quickly, and she's just standing there trying to figure out and wrap her head around what she had just seen. After stammering for a couple of minutes, she finally manages to ask Aisha to please get her mom, because she was very close with her mom. So Aisha's mom gets on the phone, and she tells Aisha's mom what she had just seen. As she's explaining to Aisha's mom what she had just seen, she hears this tap, tap, tap on her window. So of course she starts panicking. At this point, Aisha's mom thinks that this is somebody that's trying to like break into her house or intrude in some way. So Aisha's mom tells her to get a shiny object and go lock herself in her room. That's what she does. Well, a little while passes by and nothing really happens, and so she does manage to fall asleep. Well, a little while later, she wakes up in the middle of the night, and she wakes up to this bang, 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 bang on her door. And she is frazzled at this point. So she goes and grabs her phone, and she looks at the time, and it's 1 a.m. and she's like, what is going on? Then she hears it. Bang, bang, bang. Chantal, open the door, in her mother's voice. She was absolutely horrified because her mother would have texted her if she was on her way home, and she wouldn't have been home till 4 a.m. So then she checks her mom's location. Her mom is still at the bar. While she's doing all of this, the banging is persisting, but as soon as she checks her mom's location, it just stops. So she's just sitting there in silence, just terrified. The silence is almost worse than the banging, and then she hears it. It's not in her mother's voice this time. It's in this low, raspy, weird voice, and it says, Chantal, open the door. She said that this did not sound human, and it did not have good intentions. She said she will remember that voice for the rest of her life. She said that immediately after she heard that voice, she just passed out. She wakes up the next morning, and she has scratches all down her back. So what did you guys think about that story? I know it was a little short, and you guys don't like short stories, but I thought it was a good story. That story was absolutely terrifying.
Back to After Midnight Stories, where we talk about things that are creepy. We also talk about things that no one else would believe. But we believe you. I hope you're all tucked into bed, because after this one, you may not want to get out. I broke an Appalachian rule that I was told when I was a kid. If you grow up around here, you learn certain rules. Don't whistle at night. Don't answer something that calls your name from in the woods. And if you hear someone you love outside your window after dark, do not look. My grandmother used to say that last one like it wasn't a superstition, like it was a seatbelt. You look, she'd say, and it knows you can see it. I always thought she meant coyotes or bears. I don't know. It was 1:47 a.m. when I heard my mom's voice outside my bedroom window. Soft, calm. Hey, baby. My stomach dropped immediately. My mom lives 40 minutes away. I checked my phone, no missed calls and no texts. Then it came again, closer to the glass this time. Open the window. Same voice, same tone, but something about it felt flattened, like someone doing an impression. I stayed still, didn't answer. That's another rule. Then it said something only she would know, a nickname that she hadn't used since I was 10. Come on, just look at me. I told myself it was stress, lack of sleep, auditory hallucinations, anything but what my grandmother meant. The voice shifted slightly. Why won't you look at me? Still soft. Still patient. That made it worse. Then it said, you always used to look for monsters under the bed. A pause. There aren't any under there. Something scraped lightly against the siding, right beneath my window. I broke the rule. I looked. She was standing at the edge of the yard, just past the tree line, wearing my mom's face. But wrong. Too tall, shoulders too narrow, arms hanging just a little too long, her head tilted slightly like it wasn't used to sitting on that neck. The face was almost perfect. Almost. The smile stretched too far back, and her eyes weren't focused on me. They were fixed on the reflection in the glass, watching herself, adjusting. When our eyes finally met, her expression changed instantly. Not confused, not angry, delighted. Her mouth opened wider than it should have, and she started laughing, high, sharp, wrong, and said, I got you, in a shrill voice. Then she stepped backward. No turning, no blinking, just sliding into the trees, still smiling. I don't remember grabbing my phone. I just remember calling my mom. She picked up on the second ring. Hello, she said, half asleep. Normal. Mom? My voice was shaking. I think I just had a nightmare. Silence. Not the kind where someone's thinking, the kind where someone is listening. Mom? A soft breath cackled through the speaker, then very quietly, I'm inside. The whisper wasn't tired, it wasn't confused, it sounded too close, right next to me. And then it laughed. Not loud, not sharp, a thin, careful laugh. Like it was trying to not wake someone up. The call ended. The house was completely silent. No footsteps, no doors opening, no breathing, nothing. That's what scares me the most. Because my grandmother didn't just say, don't look. She said, looking is the same as opening the door. And I looked. And that concludes tonight's episode of After Midnight Stories. I hope I didn't scare you too bad, and I hope you don't have to get out of bed. And I really hope if you hear someone outside, you don't look. If you or anyone you know has a story that you want to share, feel free to DM or email me.
So I actually have multiple comments like that, and yes, I will, so stick around for this one because shit got wild last night. If you're new here, join my live streams at 9 p.m. Eastern time where we take spook walks in the Appalachian Mountains and we see crazy shit. So the past few nights that I've been going live, we have definitely been seeing some stuff, like we've been seeing sets of eyes, and to the point to where you think it is an animal until it stands up really tall. Last night was definitely a creepy one because I got lost in the middle of the woods, and somehow or another I ended up upon this freaking treehouse thing. I am gonna try to find that treehouse again tonight, and we're gonna try to explore that. But we have seen orbs, we have seen unexplained lights, we have seen unexplained eyes, and I have even gotten messages from people that are saying they saw a man in flannel standing there with his flannel sleeves rolled up, and she said that it was like a quick glimpse and she wasn't sure if it was an apparition or if it was real. Y'all know how technology can pick up stuff that the human eye can't. There's been multiple scenarios where me and the chat has heard growling, or voices, or at some point even whistling. I have always heard about the whistling, but I never thought I would actually experience it myself. Well, the past few live streams, we have experienced some whistling. There's been scenarios where there is a set of eyes, like literally almost like a face, like peeking from around a tree. There's also funny times where I may bust my ass a couple times and the camera ends up with my feet sticking straight up in the air. But I would have to say the creepiest part about all of this is that me and the chat has many times heard like growling and voices and like this white noise type of like it is the weirdest thing, you guys. Not only that, but there's been numerous occasions where I take off running with the camera because I am being touched. There's been times where I feel like a swipe goes down my back, or there's like an animal brushes up against my leg, but there's nothing there. Last night I had about 2,000 people in there at one point. Things get crazy, but if you want to check out my live streams, join tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern time. I try to do it every night at the same time. If I'm live during the daytime, usually it's all of us in recovery just having a good time, or we tell spooky stories, funny stories about our pasts. It's a safe space for people with mental health and or recovery. Just come join, hang out, let's get spooky, and let's have fun.
Hello and welcome back to a series of spooky stories, The Haunted Tea Spill. The series is brought to you by all things spooky and ungodly amounts of paranormal activity. Yes, also featuring the necklace that I was featuring last night, but with the second necklace that came with it. I didn't feel like putting it on, but I wanted to show you guys which one it was. These come together. They're stackable and they're super cute. Now onto the story. When I was 13, my older sister and I were gifted a Ouija board from a family friend. We were raised in a spiritual household, and it was gifted from a pagan woman, so we knew to treat and handle it with caution and respect. Well, thank God someone knows something about a fucking Ouija board. It's about damn time. I still don't support it, but at least you know. We made sure to always use a protection opening ritual as well as a cleansing closing ritual each use. We didn't use it often and always kept the questions simple. Okay, so now somebody's talking like they got some fucking sense. Fast forward to 17, I met my first husband when it said I would, and it even accurately predicted his name, and we went on to get married, and I had 2 daughters with him at the exact ages that it said I would. I rarely used the board as an adult. I was content using my tarot cards for basic divination. However, I decided to use the board again because I was curious, and this time it said that I needed to get out. Say less. It warned me of my husband and said that he would unalive me if I stayed. It said that it was watching over my daughters. So this is something specific. This is someone specific. Who is it? This was the first time I was freaked out by the board and proceeded to do my closing ritual, cleansed the board, and locked it up. However, I saw soon that it was right. My husband became violent and even began talking in unsettling detail of the ways that he wanted to unalive me and our daughters. And he attempted to poke me with a very sharp object to inflict pain. And I started finding homemade pipe bombs and other weapons that he was stashing around our property. Bitch! What the fuck? So it was hard and terrifying. That's an under-exaggeration. But thankfully, we made it out safe. My daughters were only 1 and 3 years old, and my oldest would tell me about seeing a woman who talked to her and kept her safe. Shitballs. Shitballs. This is freaky. I definitely believe if used incorrectly, Ouija boards are dangerous. Yes. Yeah, we know that. And even then, most often, just not worth the trouble, but mine saved me. I mean, period. It did. That's nuts. I'm now 34, happy with the man that the board predicted with my 2 daughters I mentioned, as well as my 2 stepdaughters. I'm forever grateful for my experience with it. Hell yeah, brother, because you wouldn't be here. And I'm very, very glad that you guys made it out safe. That is actually insane. Fuck, bro. Damn. I'm gonna be honest with you, the predictions were like, ooh, creepy. But the husband was the scariest part of this story, for sure. That's the real monster, you know? Rate on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least scary, creepy, spooky, 10 being the most. If you have a story of your own that you want to submit, you can do so on the link tree in my profile. Don't forget to follow my backup account. I'm saving money for a car. I'll see y'all at the next episode. Stay spooky, friends.
Forget about those reborn baby dolls growing hair because this bear came straight out of a nightmare. So a little girl, we'll call her Anna, her 3rd birthday was coming up and her grandma was at a garage sale when she came across this bear. And so she asked the woman about it, and the woman selling it said her daughter absolutely hated the bear. They've kept it in the garage this entire time, and that the bear is in perfect condition. You can have it for $5. Grandma presses the foot to test it out. It's a peekaboo bear. It's supposed to raise the blanket, and it says like 6 different phrases. So she hits it, it raises the blanket, and it says, "I see you, haha." So the grandma buys the bear. She stops at the store for a pack of batteries because if you're a parent, you know the display batteries only last for so long. And she brings it to the birthday party. Anna was immediately obsessed with the bear. She named it Timmy. She brought it everywhere with her. Now her family was not so fond of it. Her siblings were a little scared, and she was constantly pressing the foot. And it was supposed to say multiple phrases, but the only thing the bear would say was, "I see you." Her parents were hopeful that eventually the batteries would die, she would move on from it, pick a different stuffed animal, but instead, over the next year, she grew even more attached to it. Her mother would overhear her having full conversations with Timmy. He would have to come to the dinner table where she would ask her mom to make him his own separate plate. Her mother also had to tuck Timmy in when she tucked Anna in. Now, her parents are beyond over Timmy, but they knew Anna loved him so much, they didn't want to just rip him away. So they started trying to redirect her. So Anna had one of these stuffed animal holders in the corner of her room, and her mom started to put Timmy like deep into the middle, like towards the bottom of the stack. So hopefully, while she's looking for Timmy, she would pick another animal and go play with it. Now, Anna could not dig all the way inside of here by herself, but somehow she always got Timmy back down. And so her mother went to one of the siblings like, "Are you guys helping Anna get Timmy out of the storage thing?" And they all completely denied it. They were like, "We don't even like Timmy. Why would we help her?" When the mom asked Anna how she was getting Timmy, she said, "What do you mean? I didn't have to dig for Timmy." Well, the mom thought this was strange, but Anna was around 4 years old by this point, and when you're 4, if there's a will, there's a way. So the mom's a little sketched out by Timmy, but nothing really crazy has happened at this point. And then one night, the father, her husband, took their son to his baseball game with the other siblings, and Anna and her mom are having a girls' night. They're sitting on the couch watching a movie, and of course, Timmy has to sit in the middle of them when suddenly they hear this really loud noise in the hallway, and the hallway is towards the right of the couch. So both Anna and her mom look over like, what was that? They had only been looking for a few seconds when they turn back and see that Timmy, his entire body has shifted, looking towards the hallway too. No one could have possibly touched him because the daughter was on the right. So when the mother looked over, her daughter was looking the opposite direction too. Now the mother is officially freaked out. She puts Anna to bed later that night, and after she knew she was asleep, she decided to go into the room and to take Timmy away. She opens the door as quietly as she can. She is tiptoeing into the room, as quiet as she possibly could be. She gets to Timmy, and Anna is cuddling with him, and so she gently tries to pull him out, and that is when Timmy says, "I see you." So Timmy woke Anna up, and the mom is laying there scratching her back, trying to get her back to sleep. And eventually she passes back out. Mom is calling it a night at that point. She just goes back to her room, tells her husband what's going on. He's like, "Yeah, okay, that's definitely happening." And they go to bed. The next night, the mom decides she's going to try again, that this was a fluke, that maybe when she was moving her daughter's arms around, that the foot got pressed, and she's just going to be more careful this time. And she opens the door, she's tiptoeing inside, and she gets to her daughter. Timmy's not there. So she looked around to see maybe if he fell off the bed, where could he be? She can't find Timmy, and so she doesn't want to wake Anna back up. So she goes back to her room and goes to bed. So the next morning when Anna wakes up, the mom asked her, like, hey, where's Timmy? I'd really like to know where he is. Anna says to her mom that Timmy told me I needed to hide him before I went to sleep because you were going to take him away. As if the mom wasn't already terrified enough, this was just icing on the cake. And so the mom decided that we're going to go see Grandma and accidentally leave Timmy behind. That's exactly what they did. They went to Grandma's house, the grandma who purchased Timmy in the first place. Now, Anna noticed that Timmy wasn't in the car immediately and she was not happy about it, but the mom was like, we're going back to Grandma's tomorrow, you'll see Timmy again, everything's fine. And the grandma took Timmy and hid him in one of the closets on the top shelf. Now, Anna didn't stay very upset for that long, and so the mom thought, like, okay, maybe this is over, maybe she's going to move on. But the next morning she hears Anna talking, and when she asked her about it, she said, oh, I'm talking to Timmy. So the mom assumed this is like a imaginary friend type situation. She misses the bear, but at least the bear is not here. About a week goes by and it was another family member's birthday, so everyone decided to go out to eat. So the grandma, the grandpa, the mom, Anna, her dad, her siblings, some aunts and uncles, everyone went out to eat. At the end of dinner, Grandma's like, hey, we're all going to go back to my house, open presents, have some cake, hang out, play some games. And so everyone was like, okay, like we'll drive over and meet you at your house. Everyone gets to the house and the grandma had a room that was basically Anna's because she would stay there frequently when her parents were working. It had a bed and all of her toys, things like that. As soon as they walk through the door, Anna is running to her room to play. The mom and dad are grabbing a drink and talking to Grandma. And then suddenly Anna is walking down the stairs holding none other than Timmy. So the mom looks at Grandma like, you were supposed to put Timmy away. And the grandma's like, I did. There's no way that she found him. Now, all of the adults are freaked out. The grandma believes everything that the mom has been saying, and they waited for the moment that Anna set him down for a second and took him away. The mom decided, we have to get rid of this bear once and for all. She takes him into the kitchen. She sets him down. She undoes the Velcro part of the back. She's going in to remove the batteries. She opens it up. And there are no batteries inside. She realized in that moment that he never had batteries in him the entire time, and that the almost 2 years that have passed now, she never had to replace the display batteries because they didn't exist. The mom and grandma are stunned. The dad is like, sorry, I didn't believe you. And the grandpa, he had been outside starting a fire so the kids could do s'mores. And the mom was like, we're all going outside right now and this bear is going into that fire. Mom didn't want Anna to see her doing this because Anna had done nothing wrong. There was no reason to traumatize her. And so the grandma went with Anna to go distract her. And the mom and dad and grandpa were outside and the bear was gone. Eventually, all the families go home. The mom and dad are like, okay, whatever this was, it's over now. And they put Anna in the bed. They're tucking her in. The mom turns to leave the room and Anna says, stop. Mom turns around like, what do you need? And she said, wait, you forgot to tuck in Timmy. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up so fast when I was reading this story. And there are more things that happened after this that I can go into, but this video is way too long. I know there's so many people who do not believe in the paranormal or that this story could possibly ever happen. But me personally, oh, I believe it. I'm also convinced when children have imaginary friends that they are not so imaginary. Let me know if you want to hear more. I have been reached out to by so many people with their stories. It's insane.
What would you do if you looked out into your backyard late at night and saw your elderly neighbor doing something that didn't make any sense? This is Scared with Jess, and today's story is about someone who said that they looked out into their backyard late at night and saw something that they just can't explain. I used to rent a small house at the end of a quiet street. It was one of those places where nothing much happened. The neighbor behind me was old, like really old, and I never knew their exact age, though I would have guessed late 80s. They lived alone in the house behind mine and mostly kept to themselves. I'd see them now and then bringing in mail or standing on the back step in a row. We'd wave sometimes, but that was about it. Nothing about them stood out during the day. At night, though, I started hearing things. It began with little sounds outside after midnight, rustling in the yard, a soft thump here and there. Once or twice I heard what sounded like somebody moving through dry leaves near the fence. I figured a raccoon or a cat or maybe someone's dog. I do live alone, so I'm careful, but I wasn't scared yet. Then one night I heard giggling. That's what finally got me to the window. It was late, a little after 2. I had been half asleep on the couch, and at first I thought the sound was from the TV, except the TV was off. It was coming from outside. It was quiet, like somebody was trying not to laugh too hard. I got up and looked out through the back window, and at first I couldn't make sense of what I was seeing. My neighbor was in my backyard, crouched low in the grass near the back fence, and their night clothes were hanging loose off them, and they were bent over something on the ground with both hands close in. Their shoulders were moving slightly, and I thought maybe they had fallen. That was honestly my first thought, that maybe they'd wandered over and collapsed and I was looking at somebody trying to get up. But then I heard chewing. It was slow and wet, and that little giggling sound again. I froze at the window. I still couldn't make out what they were crouched over because the yard was dark except for a little spill of light from my kitchen. I leaned closer to the glass. That was when they turned. There was blood all over their face, down the chin and around the mouth on the front of the nightclothes. Their mouth was hanging open. It wasn't smiling, just open, and for a second I thought their eyes looked completely black. I still go back and forth on that because it was dark out and maybe I caught the reflection wrong, but I swear that's what I saw. Just black where the eyes should have been. I dropped straight down under the window. My whole body reacted before my brain did. I was crouched on the kitchen floor with my heart beating so hard it hurt, trying not to make a sound and hoping they hadn't seen me standing there. I stayed there like that for maybe 10 seconds, and then I slowly lifted myself back up and looked out again. The yard was empty, no neighbor and nothing moving. Whatever had been in the grass was gone too. I stood there staring for a second, trying to decide whether I had just scared myself into seeing something stranger than what was really there. Then my front doorbell started ringing, over and over. Not one ring, not somebody polite at the door. I mean, hard, quick presses, one after another, like whoever was outside had their finger jabbing at it as fast as they could. I ran to the front of the house and checked the peephole. Nobody. I looked through the side window by the door, too, but nobody was on the porch and nobody was in the yard. The bells stopped, and I didn't sleep after that. The next morning, I looked out back, expecting to see some sign that would have made the whole thing make sense. A dead animal, or tracks, or maybe some torn up grass, something. There was a dark patch near the fence where my neighbor had been crouched, but I wasn't about to go kneel down in it for a closer look. I stayed on the patio and stared at it like that was somehow better. Around 10 that morning, I saw the neighbor outside in their own yard. Normal clothes and carrying a watering can. I watched from my kitchen window while they watered one of those little flower boxes by the back steps. At one point, they looked up and saw me. Then they waved, the same as always. I didn't wave back, and that second night I told myself I was not going to look. That lasted until the same time rolled around and I heard the giggling again. Quieter this time, but closer. I stood in the kitchen for a full minute arguing with myself and then went back to the back window and looked out. My neighbor was already there. Not crouched this time, standing in the yard facing the house, staring straight up at my window like they had been waiting for me to come look. The blood was still on them. It had dried darker down the front of the nightclothes, but there was fresh blood around the mouth, enough that I could see it even from inside my house. In the eyes, I still can't swear to it fully, I wish I could, because that would almost be easier than sitting in the uncertainty. And from where I stood in that dark, they looked black again. No shine and no whites, just completely black. And I couldn't move. Then they lifted one hand and slowly waved. Not a normal wave either, stiff and just wrong looking. I backed away from the window, and I did not go near the front of the house that time. I just locked the back door and then checked every other door and window twice. I sat in my bedroom with the lamp on until daylight, and the next morning there was a note taped to my front door. Folded once, but smears of blood across the outside. I stared at it for a while before touching it. Inside, in shaky handwriting, it said, "Mind your business." I moved out 2 weeks later. I drove by that street once after dark, maybe a month after I left. I don't even know why. It was just morbid curiosity, I guess. And the house was still there. Porch light on, neighbor's yard quiet. Then I looked in the rear view and saw somebody standing at the edge of the old backyard, just past the fence line. And even from that distance, I could tell they were waving. Anyway, good luck sleeping tonight.
I'm still scared and it didn't happen to me. Are you comfortable with saying I'm a physicist and I saw a ghost?
I don't say that because I don't know what the hell a ghost is.
What has happened in your life that makes you believe?
It just broke everything.
Oh.
I was going to bed very late. My son Henry was almost 2 years old. He could walk and talk a little bit, right? We took the side off his crib and lowered it so he could get in and out of bed. But this meant we had to put up a gate by his door so he couldn't get out in the middle of the night and hurt himself. And so we had a gate by the door. And he would sometimes stand by the gate, but he's, 2 years old. So he's like this, right? Looking through the gate itself. And so I was going to bed very late one night, and I'll give you all the caveats. I'm going from a brightly lit room to a dim hallway, and it's 2 a.m. I'm half asleep. I'm tired, and I'm very tired, and I'm coming down the hall, and I see who I thought was Henry standing at the gate. And as I get closer, I realize this is not a 2-year-old boy. It's a 5-year-old boy. The kid is a good, chest and shoulders above the gate.
Do you have another child in the home?
Nope, just one. Just at the time, it was just my son Henry, and so it's just him. He's supposed to be in bed. In his room is standing this boy, a 5-year-old boy. I'm confused and worried, and I come up to him. I'm like, Henry, is that you? What are you doing, Henry? And the kid wasn't looking at me. He was kind of looking off to the side, and I got across the hallway from him. I mean, how wide's a hallway? It's like 4 feet, right? So I'm literally 4 feet away from this kid, and it's clearly not my son. He's a 5-year-old boy. He has black hair. He's wearing a white shirt with long sleeves. He's looking off to the left, and I was like, Henry is. And by this time, I'm scared because I'm like, I don't know what's happening. So I've got my arms crossed like a defensive, position, and I leaned up against the wall. I'm like, Henry, is that you? Are you all right? And the boy looks at me, and his eyes are wide. He looks scared. The boy is scared, and he looks at me, and I think that made me feel more scared. He looks at me, and he's just scared and doesn't say anything. He did the weirdest maneuver. He did this. He was holding on to the gate, and he very slowly let go of the gate. I think, in retrospect, he was trying not to make a sudden movement. And then he just backs into the shadows with his hands like that, right? And he backs into the shadows, and I'm just like, all right. Then the parent kicks in. The father kicks in. There's a stranger in my kid's bedroom. The whole game changes, right? Yeah. And I was like, oh, who is this kid? And I go running at the door. I literally jump over the gate, ready to grab a 5-year-old. And there's no one there. There's nobody there. I look around the room. I check on Henry. Henry's asleep in bed, tucked in, fine. I look everywhere. I look under the bed. I look in the drawers of the dresser. I'm looking through the closet. There's nobody in this room. And then I'm like, look, Kevin, it is 2 a.m. You need to get your ass to bed. You're half asleep. You're hallucinating. Just go to bed. Everything's fine. So I check on Henry again. He's fine. I leave the room and just go next door to the bathroom. The bathroom's adjacent to it.
I would have already burnt the house down with everyone in it. I would have been like, this incarnation of our existence is over.
I just convinced myself I had hallucinated, right? I'm just dreaming while awake, that's all. So I go next door to the bathroom, and I'm brushing my teeth, and I hear all of a sudden Henry starts shouting, Mommy, Daddy, help, help. And I run out of the bathroom, jump over the gate again for the second time. Henry, what's wrong? And he's sitting up in bed. He's very upset. He's crying. And I'm like, what's wrong? He goes, Daddy, there's someone in my room.
No.
And at first I got worried, and I was like, no. There's no one in the room. You checked. You hallucinated. And I said to Henry, It wasn't, there's nobody in the room. It was me. I was here just a few minutes ago and I checked on you. That was me. And he goes, no, Daddy, it wasn't you. It was a boy. There's a boy in my room.
No,
and I was like, oh,
Kevin!
no, you can't say that. That is not cool. That is very uncool. And yeah, there's a boy in my room. And then I'm scared. I'm like, now I don't know what's going on.
I'm still scared and it didn't happen to me.
And I said, did he hurt you? No, he didn't hurt me. And I said, well, why are you upset? He goes, I don't know. There's a boy in my room. I said, well, what was he doing? And he goes, standing. I said, where was he standing? By the door? No. And I was like, well, shit, that's where I saw him standing too. I saw a boy standing there too just 3 minutes ago. And I was like, all right, do you want me to sleep in here with you tonight? He goes, yes, please. So down the hall to get we had an inflated air mattress in case he needed someone to sleep in there with him. So I brought the air mattress back, laid it next to his bed. I lay down on it and he's lying down and I'm kind of rubbing his back and he's getting all drowsy-eyed. And all of a sudden his brow furrows a bit and he goes, there he is, Daddy. He's right behind you. And I roll over and there's no one there. And I roll back and I said, Henry, I don't see anybody. And he goes, Daddy, I don't know. It's like before. He was there and then he wasn't there. And it was like, it's like that. That's it. We're out of here. I'm done.
Do you still live in that house?
No, not anymore.
God bless it.
So I took him next door to our bedroom, put him in our bed, and my wife roused a bit. She goes, why are you in here with Henry? And I said, he's sleeping in here with us tonight, and I don't want to talk about it till the morning. That was it. And he was up before I was, and so she asked him what happened, and he told her. And then I woke. Then she asked me about it, and I told her what happened. Yeah.
And then she divorced you and burned the house down.
No, she did it. Broke me. It was the fact that he saw the same thing.
Did your son grow up to look like that? I mean, I can't even ask it without it making me cry. Was it your son in the future?
He didn't look exactly like that kid. No, I don't know who that kid was, and I sometimes worry about that. I'm like, is that a person? And what is their life like? What happened to them? Because he was clearly scared.
So listen to me.
I've been asked to tune in to yet another photo of a spirit caught on camera. But if I'm looking at this, I mean, it looks more like a demon than a spirit. So I've actually got a racing heart, and I don't typically have one of those before tuning into these. So this photo was taken in the Hotel Marmonte in Santa Barbara by Tay while she and her boyfriend were staying there. Now I'm going to tag Tay down below. Go watch her original video. It looks like this. But I'm going to give you the quick bullet points of what she breaks down in her video of what they experienced that night that led them to take that picture. And then after that, I'll tune into it as a psychic medium and see what can come through clairvoyantly or clairaudiently. And even as I say that, my cheeks are getting very hot and I don't like it. So both Tay and her boyfriend were asleep, and she woke up randomly because she said that she was hearing a conversation right next to her head. It was either that someone was talking right next to her head or someone was on speakerphone right next to her head. As soon as she said that, I was like, that's clairaudience, but we'll move along. I don't want to freak her out any more than she already might be. But she thought her boyfriend must have been on the phone until he walked back into the room, so he couldn't have been on the phone. And the next morning, he told Tay that he had just been down in the lobby to ask if anyone else had experienced what he'd experienced as he'd fallen asleep, because it was just fucking weird. He said he had this really vivid dream where he was floating above his body and he was just watching the two of them sleep. And no matter where he tried to move around in the room, he'd just keep getting dragged to this one spot that was at the foot of the bed by Tay's feet. The dream only stopped when he woke up because the lights were flickering on and off in the room. And he was so freaked out that he took a picture. And that picture is this photo right here. Now you'd look at the photo and I understand that most people would probably be drawn to this area here, right? But I'm actually more drawn to the change in color around this part of the ceiling here. I don't know, might just be me. I also have to say that the first time I saw this photo, I got like a stinging feeling in my head right here, which is nice. I'm going to go through and try and tune into the photo now. You're welcome to tune in alongside me if you like. I just ask that if you do, please put whatever comes through for you in the comments. Okay, I've zoomed in a little. I also just want to say that this is my only account. I'll never DM you asking for readings, so if you get a weird DM that sounds fake, it probably is. I'm going to ask Archangel Michael for protection. I'd ask my cat, but she's doing this right now. I don't know how much help she'll be. Okay. Archangel Michael said hold on to your seatbelts. I don't know. I don't know if I like hearing that. He didn't say we're protected. Are we protected? He said we can only protect you so much. You're on your own. Okay, well, in that case, I'm not going to open up my aura or my third eye or anything like that for this. I'm just going to go in and I'm going to imagine I have a little helmet on my head protecting my crown chakra. Because that's what Archangel Michael has done for me in the past, but I'm just like, I don't like feeling that he doesn't have my back right now. Okay, let's see what comes through. Oh, it's giving me chills. I'm hearing like chanting in my head. Hearing chanting in my head, and you know that song, I don't know who it's by, but I'm pretty sure we danced to it in Stage Challenge one year. It's a song that's like quite scary, and it starts off by saying du hast. I'll try and look it up after this. All I'm seeing, it's like I'm seeing someone in a cloak, but they're holding a rosary. So it doesn't feel, I don't know. It doesn't feel demonic, but I don't know. I'm hearing beautiful girl, pretty girl, and I'm seeing them put their hands on her feet. Almost like, oh, fuck me. Almost like they're trying to get the youth and beauty of her from through her feet. I'm laughing because I laugh when I'm nervous, and this is freaky as fuck, and I just, like, if you've seen all of my videos, I've been doing this for like 5 years. I've never really had anything like this come through, so I don't really know what to do with it. I'm not laughing because I think it's funny. It feels like a male, by the way. It's very much like a male energy. This is going to sound really weird, and this is just a feeling I have. I'm not saying, well, like, I never say that any of this is true. How would we know if it was true or not? Feeling I'm getting is that the entity, like, lots of people commented on Tay's original video saying that maybe her boyfriend was astral projecting. Oh, fuck. It feels like this entity was almost trying to enter the boyfriend's body. I know how weird this sounds, trust me. So that, I don't know, it could experience Tay's youth and beauty in like human form. I don't know if it's easier, like, I don't know if astral projection was a part of it and this almost made it easier for them to try and do it, or I don't know. I'm just having that TV series like Behind Her Eyes come into my head, where like souls moved about in different bodies, and it feels like that was a attempted at. I don't think it actually happened though, and I think that the lights flickering on and off weren't this entity. I think it was someone protecting them from what was going on, and I just got chills, which is typically my confirmation. Fuck me. This is weird, because I talk a lot about my clairvoyance and my clairaudience, which is clear seeing and clear hearing in my mind's ear, and I talk about how clear cognizance, which is like clear knowing, is my weakest clear, but it feels like everything I'm getting now is coming through clear cognizance, so I'm kind of doubting it a little bit because it's not my bread and butter. I'm hearing that this entity isn't attached to the hotel room itself. It found them somewhere else in Santa Barbara and followed them back. I think in a follow-up video, Tay said that they didn't experience any of this the second night that they were there. So I don't know if they got scared off. Like, I'm literally hearing like the Cookie Monster in my ear almost going as like this entity just like almost walks down the road. Am I insane? Like, does anyone else see this stuff too? Or is it just... Because if this is actually, like, if more than one of us see this, like, when we tune in, that I almost don't want you guys to see this, and I want you to see something else, because this is just, it's low-key screwing with my head right now. Like, I don't want to think that this sort of thing is possible. I'm hearing in my mind all the more need for protection, but what good is it if Archangel Michael doesn't even fucking protect us in the beginning? He won't mind that I swore, I promise. I don't know where to go from here. Irony is that I chose to tune into this photo because I was procrastinating tuning into a house that got sent through to me that makes me feel sick when I look at it. I was going to sit down and tune into that house, and then I talked myself out of it in the last minute. I don't know. I might save the house reading for YouTube just because I can read for longer on YouTube, and that seems to be where I do my other house reading. I don't know. I think I may have scared myself a little bit more than I expected today. Let's keep an eye out on my YouTube for the next week to see